What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Divisional Round Weekend edition of the Coast to Coast podcast. My name is Liam alongside Jose and Carson. And without further ado, let's hop into these four games from this past weekend. And let's get started off with the Green Bay Packers, the number one seed, winning 32-18 over the Los Angeles Rams. The battle of Jalen Ramsey versus Devontae Adams went in favor of Devontae Adams and his Packers. Jose, what do you got to say about this one?
Yeah, I mean, in a game where I had said previously that the Rams, their key to winning this game was to beat up on that weak O-line of the Packers. The script was kind of flipped. It was the Packers D-line that was able to really beat up on Goff. And they weren't really able to stop the run game, but like the air offense was pretty much, non-existent for the Rams. No one really had, a significant receiving game. Robert Woods had 8 catches on 10 targets, but only had 48 yards, which, I mean, when you're trying to advance, running dump offs isn't really going to do anything for you. But yeah, I mean, just not really a convincing win though. The Packers went out there and they did what they had to. They looked solid, they got it done, but can they stop a more potent offense like the Buccaneers? Who, funny enough, weren't that potent this past weekend, but, we know what they can be and we know what they've done before. So it's just a question of whether they can stop, a more solid, more put together offense.
Mm-hmm. Carson,
yeah, definitely. I mean, like the Rams, obviously like Donald was injured. That was like a massive part of that. But I mean, they were solid on the ground, just like, couldn't put up enough points to, compete with Rodgers and like all the weapons that they have. Even like Aaron Jones as well had a pretty nice day on the ground. They were just like overall like pretty solid. But I agree with Jose. Like that, I kind of still feel like they're just like obviously not pretenders, but they're in the NFC Championship game. But I still don't really feel as confident as I do in them as I do for the Bucs. Like especially like they played earlier. It was a blowout. I know you shouldn't put that much weight into it, but I think the Bucs match up like really, really well because not only do they have like just as probably more weapons than the Packers, but their defense is much better. So I'm excited because it could be a blowout, honestly, but I hope it's close. But
yeah, I mean, you got two quarterbacks who I think were number one and number two in the league, or maybe number one, number three in the league, respectively, in passing touchdowns. So you're going to get, we're hoping for an air raid. You got, I mean, no one really can guard Devontae Adams on that team. Even though Sean Murphy-Bunting did do a good job holding Michael Thomas, we'll get into that later. 0 catches. I mean, Jair's probably going to be a Mike Evans. It's going to be a hard one for him again. But I think, as long as Antonio Brown is healthy, he wasn't healthy last game. It's going to be an interesting game between these two. But I think Cam Akers should have gotten a bigger workload in this game. 18 carries on 5 yards per carry with no like outlier. He had 13 yards as his long. They should have just pushed the ball to him. I think, they should have given him a Derrick Henry kind of workload out here, given that offense, just keep doing play action. I mean, Van Jefferson had a solid game. I mean, with Cooper Kupp out, this kind of just took their chances away. I think if Cooper Kupp was there, I think if Aaron Donald was healthy and was being, a menace in the backfield, I think it's a completely different game. But despite the fact, this Packers team, they're a force to be reckoned with. But moving on to the next game, though, we got the Ravens versus the Bills. Again, another very disappointing game. I know very far under. If you're an over-under better in this game, 20 points combined was just horrendous to see from, a game that I thought I was going to see a lot of action from. But the Buffalo Bills, though, with a 17-3 victory over the Baltimore Ravens as Lamar Jackson exit the game in the second half, and their hopes just kind of went down from there. So, Carson, what do you got to say about this one?
Yeah, I mean the Bills, did what they had to do. They did, I think, like just enough to get this dub. Their defense came up clutch with crucial play. It's crazy the guy that had that crazy pick six was like the same guy that was getting hit in the head at the combine, that viral video. I thought that was just like dope, see him come full circle. But yeah, no, I mean Allen, 206 yards.
You cutting out? He's cutting out. We'll let him know. 1 second, everyone. Carson, you cut out for a second.
A lack of weapons that they need desperately.
Carson, you cut out for a second. What were you saying earlier?
Whoops.
Carson?
Oh, Earth to Carson.
Hello? All right, Jose, you just talk for a second. What do you got
All
to
right,
say?
well, for a team that I'm not gonna say I've been rocking with them all year, but you guys know I've been rocking with them all year. Um, you know, it's a team that I've watched pretty much all year, and I've seen them put together, great wins and put together these scrappy, defensive wins. But Diggs did his thing like he's always gonna do. It sucks because I feel like they're slumping at a really bad time. Cole Beasley was not involved at all, and he's been, one of their best receivers this year. John Brown looked healthy though. He was solid this game, had 8 receptions, but the loss of Zach Moss is a lot bigger than we might think because they only had 32 yards on the ground. And it's something I said that was key to their win was to get Josh Allen involved on the ground. They really weren't able to do that. It was pretty much just, that Diggs touchdown that saved him the game, and then, a couple of defensive plays, the pick six. But I want to talk about, moving forward with an injured Mahomes, they really have no excuse to not win the Super Bowl. I feel like because, if Mahomes is out and they're playing against, Chad Henne, they've got to at least make the Super Bowl. And then once they get there, it's anyone's game. They can play with anyone. I really think they're better than either of the teams on the NFC. And they have the potential. It's just about whether they, are they too young to put it together? Is it too early for them? Kind of similar to how when the Rams went up against the Patriots, is the moment too big for them? But I think they have everything. Right now it's theirs for the taking, I feel like, with an injured Mahomes, obviously. But this guy, Tyler Huntley, bro, he's going to get an NFL job simply just to simulate Lamar Jackson in practice. That's literally, he will make a 10-year career just because of that.
Yes, 100%. He is fast. He could get a Taysom Hill kind of, job if someone else is trying to go that way, trying to be fancy like the Saints are doing. He'd be a great team. Let's say the Colts bring back Phillip Rivers for some reason, and then they bring in this guy, they have a little spice up in the offense. Frank Wright wants to throw something out there, run some, option plays with Jonathan Taylor. That'd be lethal. Someone like him has extreme value if he's able to throw the ball and he's also able to run, 4-4. So,
yeah, I feel like everything that he did, Lamar would have done.
Oh yeah.
I don't think he was really that. They didn't
Carson, really. Didn't even know they had him, which is crazy. Yeah, it looks exactly like him.
Yeah. Carson, do you have anything to add from when you were cut off?
Nah, man. Yeah, I know I cut off, but I basically said everything I wanted to say.
Yeah. But no, this Ravens team, going in the offseason, just hope that they can get some receiving talent again. Marquise Brown, he's just a deep threat. That's really all he is. They need to get a Diggs, a guy that can be, he can be a deep threat, but at the same time, he's also can work in the intermediate. He can work in the short passing game, like a slot guy. Obviously, Willie Snead's shown some potential this year, but we don't need potential at this point. This team needs certified star. I think they go out there, they go for someone, if Allen Robinson's available in free agency, expect that he leads Chicago. Kenny Galladay, Chris Godwin could be on the market. I expect him to get franchise tagged though. But they need to go out there and get a big time receiver if they want to make Lamar, give him the weapons that he deserves, because I think, it opens up the space for everyone. I think Marquise Brown becomes a much better receiver with another receiver, take the pressure off him. Mark Andrews might get all the back to that territory he was in. But like you're saying with this Bills team, I know they're underdogs. It's -3. +3 for them this weekend. I want to put all my money down on that right now because I feel like it's going to be hard for Mahomes to come back. And is he going to be mentally there? He's only got 7 days to prepare for it, which is 19 days average concussion protocol. So we'll see how the things turn out there.
Before he went down, though, he looked damn good, bro.
Oh, yeah.
They
were killing it out there.
It just sucks to see him go down like that.
But, it's going to be a interesting thing to see if, Chad Henne is able to pull off a win against this Buffalo team, because I know they've been really bad against guarding tight ends this year. And funny enough, the Chiefs do have one of the greatest tight ends we've seen in the last couple of years with Travis Kelce. And they still got to, account for Tyreek Hill. Hopefully, Clyde Edwards-Helaire's back. He's been solid when he's been playing. And then Le'Veon Bell should be there. They'd be able to have a solid running game. But speaking of this Chiefs team, let's hop into it right now. The Kansas City Chiefs squeak away with a 22-17 victory over the Cleveland Browns, as the Cleveland covers the +10 spread, though. Good to see there. But, I mean, a good season from the Browns overall. You know, they got a playoff victory over against one of their biggest rivals. They're going to have, you know, address the Odell situation this offseason. A terrible secondary they have, but it's been a big improvement from a team that, you know, a couple years ago was 0-16. But, Jose, what do you got to say about this game?
Yeah, I mean, just a great season from the Browns overall. I don't think you can be, you know, really mad about this. They did have a chance to win it, but I mean, with Mahomes down, I mean, you were gonna lose anyway if Mahomes didn't go down. So, I think, you know, it's a solid game from them. They couldn't really establish the run game like, you know, we would like them to, but overall, I feel like they played pretty solid. Garrett wasn't 100%, but he still had an impact. But yeah, I mean, if Chad Henne can lead the Chiefs to the Super Bowl, like on some Nick Foles type beat, that'd be the craziest story of this whole year. Like, well, maybe not maybe besides the Alex Smith.
35-year-old quarterback, though. That's crazy.
Yeah. Wasn't he like a coach at like a high school? Like,
yeah, something like that. He got signed back to the team when he was coaching some high school, and then now he's literally could be starting in the AFC Championship.
Yeah, that's insane. But I mean, he didn't have a bad game. He threw a bad pick, but then he played at those last few downs pretty solid, and a ballsy play call last play to Tyreek Hill. Like, no one thought they were gonna snap it there. No one looked like they were ready for a play, and then boom, Tyreek catches it at the line, and just pure disappointment on all the Browns' faces. Crazy. I mean, do you expect any less from Andy Reid? But yeah, I think with Mahomes, you know, they're going back to back. If Mahomes is 100%, no one's stopping them.
Yeah, I agree with that. Carson, anything else to say?
Yeah, I mean, if they have Mahomes, there's not really much the Bills can do, really. It's just like, you know, just compete. But I think with Henne out there, you know, if Mahomes, you know, isn't ready to go, you know, try and shut down Kelsey as much as you can, and just kind of honestly, like, let him beat you. Just know that, you know, this is like a backup, and because, you know, the run game's not really going to be there for the Chiefs that much. I mean, you know, Darrell Williams, he's okay, but they're in a very similar situation. The Bills are kind of in with just a kind of, you know, struggling run game. And I think just shut that down and make him beat you on the outside, like make him make throws that Mahomes would make, but you don't really trust Henne to make, I feel like. And yeah, if Henne's playing the Bills, yeah, they have no excuse. They should maybe not blow them out, but, you know, they should easily beat them and be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's not a situation like I think Cleveland should have came out here this game and given, you know, 30 carries to Chubb, you know, just beat the clock down. But I mean, I'd say the same thing for the Bills, but they don't have anyone they can give 30 carries to. Devin Singletary's been, you know, very suspect this season. Zach Moss, you know, was fine, but now he's injured. I mean, you can't give 30 carries to Josh Allen. And I know the guy that they started week 17 is injured as well. But it should be an interesting game, I think. I think the over's 57 or something like that. If Mahomes is playing, I'm taking that for sure. I mean, it's going to be air raid, little defense played. No one can guard Diggs. I mean, as good as Tre'Davious White is, speed for Tyreek Hill, and then you still got Travis Kelce on the inside. So definitely going to be a game I'm paying attention to for the AFC Championship. But going to our last and final game of the weekend, perhaps Drew Brees' last game in the NFL. Obviously, sad to see a legend go out like this, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers do not lose 3 times to the Saints as they get a 30-20 victory behind the back of Leonard Fournette with an all-around game, and Tom Brady leading his Buccaneers to the NFC Championship. Carson, what do you got to say about this one?
Yeah, it's just sad to see like Breeze like go out the way that he went out. You know, 3 interceptions did not look good at all, and you know, really just kind of like expose like the kind of the fatal flaw in the Saints, because I think overall, you know, their team is really good. They'll be able to compete for Super Bowls the next couple of years. But, you know, with Breeze, it's just like tough when your offense is so one-dimensional. You can only go so far. You can't push it downfield. And the Bucs were all over that. And then as for the Bucs, I mean, you know, they were okay on offense. I mean, Brady only 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. Their run game was very efficient, though, with Fournette and Jones, you know, having solid days. And just their defense came out the ball. And I think, you know, Brady, you know, he didn't even have to do that much to still put up 30 points. And it's just looking really scary with them. Like, their team is legit. And that's why I'm so excited for the Packers, because they match up perfectly with the Packers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like it's a really good, just like a really solid matchup. And it's kind of like the debate that we've had, for the past like 10 years, like who's really the greatest? Like, is Brady really the greatest, or is Belichick the greatest? And obviously we see him take down Breeze. And what an absolute like terrible game for Breeze. I mean, 3 picks. Some of them were pretty bad.
Oh, he threw a triple coverage throw. I think it was
Yeah.
one of his tight ends or something. I was watching that. What is he doing?
Yeah, and just like underthrows, like his
Mm-hmm.
arm just looks weak. I mean, I think it's pretty much time, to hang up the boots. Obviously, it's sad to see him go out because we all grew up watching him, but I think it's time, buddy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Michael Thomas needs to change his Twitter handle. I mean, 4 targets, no catches. Can't guard Mike. Where you at? Like, you got shut down. But it's whatever. I mean, the Saints, I never really believed in them to really make it past this point. I think if they really did make it past this point, then then we have something to talk about. But the Buccaneers, they did what they had to do. They look solid. Great run game from both Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette. But their big receiving threats need to wake up for the next game, because Antonio Brown 1 catch, Mike Evans 1 catch, Gronk 1 catch. Like, you can't have that. You got to get those guys involved. You got to get them early in the game. But yeah, great defensive game too from the Buccaneers. Very underrated. Devin White is a star, bro.
Oh, yes, 100%.
That man
Big time. Yeah.
That man is special.
Yeah, but I think going into this next game with Tampa versus the Packers, I think the story, the X factor, is going to be the run games for both these teams. I mean, obviously the Packers got a better running back, like their lead back, but I think there are 2 very underrated running back cores between the two. I mean, AJ Dillon's been seeing his work for the Packers. Jamal Williams also a solid option. I think as good as these passing attacks are going to be, I think number 3 for the Bucs and number 1 for the Packers, I think it's the running game that's going to tell the story. I mean, when it comes to, small goal line plays, are they going to be able to punch it in? I think it's going to be, I don't know which game I'm more excited for. I think if Mahomes plays, it's definitely going to be the AFC Championship. But at the same time, this NFC one's it's just so interesting to me to see, Aaron Rodgers, who, people say is the greatest quarterback talent of all time, until Mahomes will probably pass him eventually. And then Tom Brady, who's the most decorated quarterback of all time, going against one another for the first time in a long time. So, I mean, obviously, they face in the regular season this year, and then Tom Brady and his Buccaneers get the upper half of them. But, some good games to look at for this upcoming weekend. So without further ado, I believe that is the conclusion of our 4 games this weekend. And expect some more content coming to you shortly. We'll be coming with the AFC and NFC championship review games following weekend. Then also we had the Pro Bowl, so maybe we'll fit in another episode, look at some off-season stuff, maybe some potential rankings for fantasy, a little bit too early rankings, something you guys all want to see. Everyone's super excited. So yeah, just make sure subscribe, make sure you're staying up to date with us. We'll be putting out some content as best as we can for you guys. Without further ado, this is Coast to Coast Podcast signing out. Peace.